Hey, my friends. So today we are talking about how in the world do you identify the perfect side hustle to help you escape your 9 to 5, or if you just want to have a side hustle that gives you a little bit extra financial support, a little bit extra money each month, how do you find that side hustle that you can fit into your already busy schedule if you have a full-time job? And the reason this is weighing on me is because the past couple of weeks, it feels like there have been a barrage of people contacting me to update their resumes because they've been laid off or they found out that their company is being bought out and they're not a part of the package deal. Or I just had a friend of mine post yesterday online that she had a great job interview and was pretty much promised a job, and then at the last minute, it fell through. And I remember, it's like I had a flashback. I remember being at my 9 to 5 job, and there was a moment that I was like, you know what? I don't like somebody else being in control of my finances. And that's what it felt like to me as an employee. Somebody else controlled how much money I made, how much money I can make in the future, whether or not I had a job. And I wanted out of that race. I wanted to stop building somebody else's dream, and I wanted to put all of that energy into building my own dream. So that's what we're talking about today. We are going to go step by step through the process I used and I've taught other people to find the perfect side hustle for you. A side hustle that can fit into any schedule, a side hustle that can be scaled to a full-time business in the future if you so desire. Hi, my name is Michelle. Welcome back to Connect Collective, where we talk about living life on your terms through rediscovering who you are, what you want out of life, and how you're going to get it. Today's video is an extension of the video that I did last week. If you haven't had the opportunity to watch it, I'll link it right up here somewhere. But in that video, I shared with you the side hustles that I personally did. And I was successful at those side hustles, and it was just to share those with you. Now, if you watched that video, you may have been thinking, well, Michelle, those side hustles worked great for you, but I don't have an interest in any of those, so what do I do? So I thought, you know what? I need to do a follow-up video to show you the process I use to identify my side hustles. So the very first thing that I want you to do is grab something to write on and something to write with. And I want you to take some time to write an exhaustive list of all your skills. And I'm not talking about the things that, you know how to do them a little bit. I'm talking about the things that you are good at. Everything. Even if you don't enjoy doing it, we'll deal with that later, but I want you to write down a list of all your skills. And I'm sharing my list here with you right now so you can see what I mean by exhaustive. Now, this is not my full list, but we're getting there with it. But I just wanted to show you that I put things on there like acting and singing. I do have a background in theater, and also I put jewelry making and laying floors. All right, I'm a master at laying luxury vinyl plank. So, but don't ask me to do that for you. I really don't like it. But I did an exhaustive list here. I want you to also ask people what they think you're skilled at doing, because you'll be surprised. Like, you will think that you have an exhaustive list, and then someone will mention to you, well, don't forget you also do this other thing. And you're like, oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. So talk to friends and family as well to get as exhaustive a list as you possibly can. Okay, so next step is to take all of these skills and you are going to place them into one of 3 categories. So take a piece of paper and fold it into thirds. The very first column is any skill that you absolutely love doing. Like, you could do it all day long and you won't tire of it. Some of my examples are, I love to write. I love data analysis. I can analyze data all day long, 10 different ways. There's something about data analysis that excites me. I just love digging into information, or even doing infographics design. Put me on Canva, tell me to design something for you. Happy to do it. And then The next column is going to be those skills that you're kind of neutral about, like you're okay doing them. You don't mind doing them. They don't like steal your joy or anything like that, but they also don't light you up. Like I don't mind putting together a presentation. I love public speaking, but there are other components of presentations that are kind of like boring to me, but I can still do it. I don't hate it. And then the third column is those skills that you may be good at them, but you absolutely hate doing them. All right. Now I'm going to point out a couple here that I'll be discussing further as we get into putting the side hustle together. So I'm pointing these out for a reason. And the two that I put in this column that we'll discuss later are listing, like listing products on a site, and sourcing, so going out and finding the products. So I don't enjoy doing that. I would much rather not do it, but I have a skill at doing it. I'm really good at doing it. Okay, so now you've got all of your skills written down. What do? Go into Grok. Three sources we're using here. Grok on X, totally free if you have an X account. If you don't have an X account, then don't use it. Chat GPT and on Bing Copilot. Those are the three AIs that I used. All right. Now, this is not to give you a definitive list. It's just to get you thinking about some ideas. All right. And I wrote a query. Here's an example of the query that I wrote and put in to each of the chats. And I put the exact same query into each of the chats. So what I did is I told it that I was looking for a side hustle using my current skills. And I wanted a side hustle that I could scale to full time if I so desired. However, right now, I only have about 10, maximum 15 hours a week to dedicate to a side hustle. So I gave it my parameters. I put my skills in. I didn't put my exhaustive list of skills in. I pretty much stuck to the skills that I love and maybe some of my neutral skills. I did not put the skills that I hate, okay? I don't want side hustles doing those skills. So as you can see, the ideas across Grok, ChatGPT, and Copilot are almost identical. No surprise there. So I'm getting ideas like online coaching, freelance writing, content creation. Hello, I'm here. Reselling. And then after you get to this point, if there are any of these that you're like, oh, well, that sounds interesting, then I want you to dig a little bit further into that potential side hustle. Now, in just a second, I am going to show you the specifics that it gave to me because it will give you more information. Like I also asked it to tell me, how much could I potentially make? But this is where people kind of fall apart. They will look at things and they will automatically like toss them out. Nope, can't do that one. It's not possible. I heard from someone that it's too difficult to get into that. You need to do your own research, due diligence, okay? And I just want to tell you, friends, that you can start a business doing just about anything. You just have to know how to plan it and you have to know how to follow through. So mindset and accountability. All right, back to discovering our side hustle. So you did your exhaustive list, you put it in the different categories, and now you have placed a query into AI just to give you some ideas on side hustles that you can start. And now you are researching the side hustles that you're interested in. Now let me show you the specific information that a couple of the chats gave me on the side hustles that I was wanting to pursue, let's say. And I picked reselling. I've done reselling before. And so I felt like I could give you some solid information based on what it is telling me, what AI is telling me, and what is factual, what is true. So the information that they gave me on reselling is that, hey, you've got previous experience. And if you pick a niche, which I agree with this, if you pick a niche to do reselling, then you can really up the ante on doing well with with reselling. Now, when I did reselling, I kind of had an everything store, but then I was shifting more towards vintage items. But these are things you learn as you get into a side hustle. You don't have to have all the information when you start. You learn as you go. You just have to pick something that interests you and that you're willing to invest your time in. So these chats gave me some other helpful information. They gave me some earnings potential, and I agree with the numbers that I got. Also suggested some platforms like eBay, Amazon, Poshmark, Etsy, and Facebook Marketplace. Now, you have to do research on these. I personally, there was something about reselling that spoke to me. I was like, yeah, I would really enjoy doing that. I love going out thrifting. I've been doing it since I was a kid, and I love just picking items, learning more about them. And remember those two skills that I told you I don't love doing. Sourcing items can be exhausting. That's going to the stores and finding the items that you're going to sell to make a profit. When you have to do it all the time, that can be tiring and exhausting. And listing, it takes a lot of time. It's not exciting. It's not fun. But what I know now is that that's something that I can do. I can do it. And as I scale my business, if you want, you can outsource those kind of things. So you can do them temporarily. Things typically are not permanent, they're temporary. And then find a way to hand that thing that you don't enjoy doing off to somebody else. Or you can keep it a one-person business, which is typically what I like to do. So you know what? I'll suck it up and do the sourcing and the listing myself. So now I'm going to leverage what I just said into something else, which is I personally developed my own parameters for business. I wanted to be a solopreneur. I wanted to be a single employee business. I am the boss. I am the employee. I wanted a business that I could scale. I wanted a business that was flexible. I wanted a business that I could do from my laptop. So you have to decide for you what are the parameters for a side hustle or business that you would enjoy building. I just want to reiterate that you can make a business out of almost anything. All right, friends. So now I am getting ready to discuss the blocks that people have, the reasons why people say they can't start a side hustle, and especially a side hustle that could help them escape their 9 to 5. But before I discuss those blocks, would you please take a moment to hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel. It helps and I really appreciate it. So now let's discuss the reasons why people think that they can't start a side hustle. The number one reason is time. I don't have the time to do that. And I always go back to when I had a side hustle and a full-time job. And I will tell you right now, it was not easy to find time, but if you put it on a scale, like I was at this point of I need to find a way to, hopefully I wanted to retire early. So I need to find a way to do that. So it was like the pain of, can I do this for 20 more years? Or am I willing to just bite the bullet and put in some extra work now so I can get out? So, 9 to 5 job, to side hustle started, the scale started to shift like this. And my mindset is I can find a way to do it. And let me teach you a phrase that I teach all of my clients. I use it all the time. I do not allow myself to say I can't. It is not allowed. You got to park that over to the side. And your new question that you ask yourself is, what are the ways I can? If you want to make it happen, you can make it happen. What are the ways I can make this happen? So if you have a concern about time, I don't have time, then you are searching for side hustles that are super flexible. With my reselling, I didn't have to spend 20 hours a week building that side hustle. I could have spent 5 hours a week building that side hustle. And you know what? Almost all of us, almost all of us have that time. We waste so much time. We waste time on our phones, scrolling on the phones. You can do something better with your time. You can build a life that you love with that time. So when it comes to time, just do a time audit. Take the next couple of weeks to look at when you are doing things mindlessly. You're scrolling on your phone, you're watching 6 episodes of that television show or whatever it is. And sometimes we'll tell ourselves, and I can say this as someone who was in a severe burned out state, sometimes we'll tell ourselves that we're doing it to relax, but it is not relaxing us because it's not fixing our problem. And that's what I would focus on. If I'm burned out, do I want to take my extra time and just crash on the couch watching TV while I stay in my 9 to 5 job being miserable? Or do I want to make an escape plan? So I think that you want to make an escape plan and do it a little bit at a time. Consistency is key to being successful. So if you don't think you can commit to like 10 or 15 hours a week, commit to 5 hours a week or commit to 2 hours a week. Just try. And then after you feel comfortable with 2 hours a week, then 3 hours a week, then 4 hours a week, then 5. It is amazing. When you tell yourself that you can find the time, you find the time. It's really wild how that works. It happens. Another excuse that people have is, I don't have the money to start a side hustle. Then I'm the perfect person for you to talk to because I believe you should start a side hustle that doesn't cost money. Reselling didn't cost me money to start. Now, after I started building my business, then I started investing some money in it, but I was investing the money I made. So I was not putting myself in financial straits to have a successful reselling business. I like it low stress and high returns. That's my goal. Okay, the next block that we're going to discuss is people who say, I have no skills. You know what? There are a lot of side hustles out there that require no skills, very, very basic skills, I should say. Focus on what you do have and stop focusing on what you don't have, because what you don't have won't get you anywhere, and you have way more to offer than you think. Now, if you don't believe me, you can use any of those chats and you can tell it, listen, I don't have skills, so what can I do for a side hustle? You're going to get a whole list. And it's going to share with you things like landscaping, cleaning houses, but I would argue you could also do reselling if you know how to use a laptop at all. It's easy to figure out. And I like to look at it in terms of flipping up. I will start a side hustle, and as I get comfortable in that side hustle and learn a whole bunch about business and how business operates, I can flip up to a new business, or I can offer more services. And I mentioned that in one of my prior videos where I talked about how I started volunteering at a center for women, and I was writing resumes for them, and I was doing job coaching and interview skills and those kind of things. And by word of mouth, I started getting paid for writing resumes. And then I leveraged that to offer coaching services. So I just kept flipping up. Okay, so that is a great way to leverage a side hustle and build off of it into something bigger and grander, scaling what you're doing. So this is just part of the process, identifying those skills. Your kind of homework is to pick the ones that you might be interested in, and I want you to start doing research on those side hustles. Go onto YouTube. We like to call it YouTube University at my house, but go onto YouTube and search for those side hustles and find people who are actually doing them. And I would encourage you to go to their full video list and scroll down to when they were just beginning and get their insight as a beginner. You know, right now, when we look at people who are doing well, for example, there are some people that I follow in the reselling world, and they're making 6 figures reselling. They're making well into six figures, multiple six figures in reselling. And I was not there. I was making a decent amount of money reselling, but I was doing it part time. But I couldn't see myself doing that when I first started. So it really helped me to go back to the very beginning when they started out to see how they felt and what their feelings were about starting out in that area. So do that for the side hustle that you're interested in. Next week, I am going to give you a little bit more on how you can plan your business, because typically what I see is people fail because they don't plan to succeed. They just jump right in and they struggle. They're on the struggle bus the whole time. They're trying to do their side hustle and eventually they just give up. And I don't want that to be you. So I'm going to step you through how to plan a small solo business, a side hustle that you're doing in just a few hours a week. I will hand hold you through the process because, like I say all the time, we are all a body of knowledge. And when we help one another, we make one another stronger. So, questions for you. What side hustles have you tried, if you've tried any? If you haven't started a side hustle, are you interested in one? And which ones are you interested in? Why haven't you started one yet? Is it fear that's holding you back? Are there some other things that are restricting you from starting? And what are your ultimate goals? Do you want financial freedom? Do you want time freedom? Or do you just want to be able to bolster your retirement or create a nice little financial cushion just for emergencies? Please drop that in the comments below. So if you are interested in topics like recovering from burnout, quitting your 9-to-5 job to start your own business, and mastering your mindset so that you crush goals like crazy, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to this channel. And if you're interested in watching another video on a similar topic, please click the one that's showing on your screen now. And as always, friends, I am sending you all peace, love, and harmony.